POV Delta Force Operative. You can end a war with a phone call, not a declaration, not a vote, not a press conference with flags behind a podium and cameras recording history for the textbooks. There is no grand ceremony. The room doesn't shake. The lights don't flicker. It is just you, the hum of the servers, and a piece of plastic and lithium. A phone call, 11 digits, 40 seconds of conversation in a language most people on Earth have never heard spoken. And somewhere, on the other side of the world, something stops existing. You've done it 6 times. You remember each one. Not because they haunted you. That would be manageable. If they haunted you, you could go to a professional. You could sit on a leather couch and talk about trauma and closure. That would make you something recognizable to the rest of the world. You remember them because they are the clearest moments of your life. The ones where you felt most precisely yourself. Focused, certain, clean. That is the thing you have never told anyone. Not a therapist. Not a priest. Not the woman who waited for you 3 deployments in a row, and then one day simply stopped. She stopped packing your bags. She stopped asking when you'd be back. She just looked at you across a kitchen island and realized that the man she was looking at was a shell, holding space for a ghost. You never told her that the field didn't feel like a burden. Felt like home. This room, right now. The windowless basement. The banks of dark monitors. The recycled air. The absolute absence of weather, of seasons, of any indication that time is passing at a human pace. This is what feels like exile. The field was where you made sense. The field was where the ledger balanced perfectly. And you have not been in the field in 11 years. You look at your reflection in the dark monitor. There is a man there, well-dressed, still, correct in every visible way. A tie tied with mathematical precision, shoulders squared, a ghost in a $4,000 suit. And you feel something looking at him. Not grief, not pride. You feel faint irritation, because he is in the way, between you and whatever you actually are now. To understand that, to understand the architecture of this room, you have to go back. Back before the clearances, before the phone calls, before the briefings in soundproof rooms. Back to the mud, back to the dark, back to the night in North Carolina when you first understood what you were willing to become. Stage 1, the candidate. North Carolina. November. A ridge somewhere in the Appalachians that does not appear on the briefing sheet they gave you. Because they gave you no briefing sheet. They gave you a compass, a grid reference written on a piece of paper that dissolves in rain. And it has been raining for 6 hours. There is 61 pounds of rucksack pressing down on your spine. It has the specific architectural weight of something designed not to kill you, but to make you understand at a cellular level that your comfort is no longer a variable anyone is accounting for. It grinds against your collarbones. It turns your boots to lead. You are one of 43 candidates. By tomorrow morning, you will be one of 29. You don't know that yet, but some part of you already suspects it, because you have started to see it in the men around you. The small hesitations, the microfractures in their resolve. You see the way a man's stride changes when his mind begins negotiating with his legs, instead of commanding them. You see the shift from movement to survival. You hear the guy to your left start muttering to himself. 3 miles later, you hear him drop his pack in the mud. He doesn't even radio in. He just sits down in the freezing rain and quits. You are not there yet. And this disturbs you more than the pain. Because it means you don't know where your limit is. It means the thing that ends you is still out ahead somewhere in the dark. And you are walking toward it. You cannot see it. The only way to find it is to keep walking until you arrive. So you walk. Mile 14. The blisters tear open. Mile 22. The cold stops stinging and turns to a dull, heavy numbness. Mile 30. Somewhere around mile 30, the hallucinations begin. Not visions. Nothing dramatic. You don't see monsters in the trees. It's just voices at the edge of audibility. Your mother, calling you for dinner in 1996. A friend from high school, laughing at a joke you forgot decades ago. Someone reading a weather report in a flat, calm tone. A report that has nothing to do with the freezing rain on this ridge. You learn to ignore them, not to fight them. Fighting is a transaction that costs energy. You learn to let them exist in the periphery of your attention. The way background noise exists in a room you've been in long enough to stop hearing. You let the voices talk. You let the pain scream. And you keep walking. This is the first real lesson. Not how to suffer. You already knew how to suffer. Anyone can suffer. The lesson is how to make suffering irrelevant. You arrive at the final checkpoint at 4 in the morning, with 38 minutes to spare. No one is there to witness it. No instructors. No cameras. No applause. The checkpoint is a plastic card in a metal box attached to a pine tree. You pull it. You mark it. You slide it into your pocket. You sit on a rotting log for 30 seconds. The rain hits your shoulders. The woods are entirely silent. Then, you stand up and walk back into the dark. Not because you were told to, because there is nothing else. A week later, a man you have never seen before places a patch on a table and tells you the man you were is dead. You want to tell him something. You want to tell him that the man he's referring to died somewhere around mile 30. Quietly, without ceremony, between one step and the next on a wet ridge in the dark. But you say nothing, because silence, you are already learning, is the language of this world. And you are becoming fluent. Stage 2, the operator. You are falling toward a city that doesn't know you exist. 31,000 feet. The aircraft is already a memory above the cloud layer. The air up here is thin enough to kill you, cold enough to freeze the condensation on your goggles. Below you, through the night vision, is the thermal signature of a city of 4 million people. They are doing ordinary things at 2 in the morning. Sleeping, arguing, making food, living the kind of lives that require no consideration of the possibility that a man might be falling out of the sky above them, with the specific intention of removing one of their neighbors from the population. You have done this 14 times. The first time, there was something in your chest on the way down. An aliveness, a sharpness, the violent rushing of blood in your ears. The sense of being at the absolute edge of what a human body was designed to do. By the 14th time, the descent is administrative. You're just running contingencies. Entry point, compromise protocol, exfil window. You cycle through the 3 variables that have changed since the last intelligence package. You calculate the weight and position of the suppressor relative to the grip of your rifle. You wonder whether the secondary element is going to be 2 minutes early or 2 minutes late. And which of those is the more dangerous problem? You land in a courtyard. 7 seconds from touchdown to movement. Parachute buried. Weapon up. The building is a 4-story residential block. It smells of old cooking oil and damp concrete. Contains, on the 3rd floor, a man who has spent the last 18 months facilitating the movement of materials. Materials that will, if they reach their destination, remove somewhere between 800 and 2,000 people from the world. You know this with a confidence that exceeds certainty. You have read the intelligence so many times you could recite it in your sleep. You know his daily schedule. You know his limp. The man has a daughter, 7 years old. A drawing on the refrigerator, you have seen the surveillance photograph. That appears to be a horse or possibly a dog, rendered in faded green crayon. The subject lives on the 3rd floor. The daughter lives on the 2nd with her mother. They are not targets. They will not be harmed. You know all of this. You enter the building. You go up the stairs. Your boots make absolutely no sound on the concrete. You do what you came to do. 3 suppressed rounds. A body hitting the floor. Takes 12 seconds. On the way back down, you pass the 2nd floor. The door is closed. There is no sound behind it. No crying. No movement. They slept through it. You walk past it without breaking stride. Outside, in the courtyard, waiting for the extraction vehicle, you run the operation back in your mind the way you always do. Entry point. Movement. Engagement. Exfil. You are looking for the error, the deviation from standard, the variable that didn't resolve cleanly. You find nothing. The operation was clean. And somewhere below the operational assessment, in a register you are not yet practiced at ignoring, something else runs a different kind of check. A drawing on a refrigerator. A horse? Or possibly a dog. A 7-year-old girl waking up in the morning to a different world. And the thing that comes back is not guilt. Not grief. Not the moral vertigo of a man confronting what he has done. The man you were at mile 30 on that ridge would have felt something. This man cross-references it and moves on. The exfil vehicle arrives. You get in. Stage 3, the team leader. You have 4 men now. Not subordinates. Not assets. Men. There is Reyes, who has been in the breach next to you 11 times. You can read his breathing pattern like weather. You know when he's about to move before his muscles even twitch. There is Okafor, who is 26 years old and already moves through dark hallways with a cold certainty that took you 3 years to develop. There is Park, who has never, in your observation, experienced a single moment of doubt. And there is Miller. Miller is different from the others in a way you have never fully articulated, because it resists the kind of language you are comfortable with. He is not better or worse, not more skilled or less skilled. He knows you. He knew that person briefly in a different life at a different training camp, and he has never treated the gap between then and now as unbridgeable. He still occasionally says things that are addressed to someone you no longer think exists. He asks about your family. He makes jokes that require a soul to understand. You find this inexplicably destabilizing. You have never told him that. Kandahar province. A walled compound. The air tastes like dust and copper. The operation is 60% complete when the intelligence fails. It fails in the specific way that bad intelligence fails, not wrong exactly but offset in time. The secondary element is in the wrong position. The exfil window is compressing. The courtyard is flooding with light and noise. Miller takes a round in the final breach. Not center mass. The armor doesn't catch it. It goes through the left thigh, severing something that matters. The bright arterial spray hits the wall. He is on the ground in 4 seconds. Conscious. Looking up at you through the smoke. He says one thing. He doesn't say your rank. He doesn't say your designation. He doesn't reference the mission or ask about the exfil. He says your name. Your actual name. The one that doesn't appear on the operational manifest. You feel annoyance. Not annoyance at the situation. Not frustration at the compromised exfil. Not panic. Annoyance at him. For using that name. For addressing someone who is not there. And has not been there for a very long time. As if the name itself could reconstitute the person it once belonged to. You get him out. You do not leave him. The tactical decision and the human one happen to align, and you grab his vest, drag him through the dirt, pack the wound, and get him out. But later, on the helicopter, with the rotors beating the night air, with Miller stabilized and the team intact and the operation closed, you sit with that annoyance. You examine it, and what you find underneath it is worse. The annoyance was real, genuine, immediate. The relief that he survived comes 2 minutes later, ordered wrong. And for the first time with complete clarity, what the machine has done with the sequence of your responses. It hasn't removed the human ones. It has just moved them further back in the queue. Stage 4, the Squadron Sergeant Major. There is a briefing on a Tuesday. It is a standard package. Target profile. Intelligence assessment. Team composition. Proposed timeline. You have reviewed 312 of these packages in this role. You know their architecture the way a reader knows sentence structure. You know where the assumptions live. You know where the gaps are papered over with confident, aggressive language. You know where the risk assessment has been reverse engineered from the acceptable answer. This one has all of those problems. The intelligence is 18 days old. In a situation where 18 hours is the absolute margin of useful accuracy. The ingress route passes through a corridor that a separate, compartmented program, a program you have access to but the briefers do not, suggests has been compromised for 6 weeks. The risk assessment is optimistic. It is optimistic in the specific way that risk assessments are optimistic, when someone far above the briefing level has already decided the outcome. You read it twice. The fluorescent lights hum above your desk. Then, you pick up the pen, and you approve it. Not because you've talked yourself into the intelligence. Not because you've found the flaw in your own analysis. But because you have been in this room long enough to understand what the pen is for. It is not for the truth. It is for the record. And the record, at this altitude, serves a different function than accuracy. It serves continuity. You know this. You accept it as gravity. You approve it. 3 weeks later, 2 of the 4 operators on that mission do not come back. You read the after-action report at your desk. The room is perfectly quiet. You flip to page 4. You find the specific line where the compromised ingress route produced the predictable outcome. An ambush. Prolonged firefight. 2 men bleeding out in a street they never should have been sent to. You set the document down. You look at the drop ceiling for a moment. Then, you pick up the next package. Not because you've made peace with it. Not because the system has justified itself to you. Because the alternative, the version of this where you set the pen down and say the thing you know to be true and watch what happens next, that version costs more than the operator's cost. You understood that before you signed. That is the thing you will never say out loud. Not that you made a mistake. That you didn't. Stage 5, the strategic asset. You are standing at the window. Rain on the street below. A city doing what cities do at this hour. Moving, and not knowing why, toward destinations it has chosen for reasons it would not, under examination, be able to fully justify. You are holding a coffee mug. The coffee is cold. You notice this, and do not move to change it. There is a recruitment center across the street. Closed at this hour. The sign is dark. The door is locked. You have walked past it twice in the last month without registering it as anything other than a datum. Car pulls up. A kid gets out. Young. He looks around 20. He is standing outside the locked door with the specific nervous energy of someone who arrived early on purpose. Collar up against the wind. Jaw set tight. Eyes moving over the street with the kind of hypervigilant attention that most 20-year-olds spend on their phones. You watch him. You have watched versions of him for 30 years. But there is something different tonight, and it takes you a moment to locate it. He looks up. Not at the building. Not at his phone. At the window where you are standing. You are in the dark. He cannot see you. You are nothing but a smudge behind glass in an unlit room, in a building that doesn't officially exist. But he looks up at the exact window you are standing in, and he holds it for 3 seconds. He isn't searching. He isn't curious. He is decided, like a man who already knows something is up there, and is simply acknowledging it. Then he looks back down at the street, and you feel something move in your chest that you have not felt in a long time. Not recognition, something older than that. The nearest word you have for it is warning. Not to him. He is beyond warning. You know that. The path has already chosen him in the way it chose you, not by force but by fit. He will walk through that door tomorrow morning. He will be good at what they ask of him. He will become very precisely the thing they need. And somewhere around mile 30 on a ridge in the dark, the man he is right now will step off the edge of himself and not come back. You know this. The warning is for you. Because something in you looked at that kid looking up at your window, at that exact angle, that exact jaw, that exact quality of undivided attention, and for a fraction of a second, before the system re-engaged, before the operational mind reasserted control and the cold coffee became just cold coffee again, you wanted to open the window. You don't know what you would have said. That is the most honest thing about it. You didn't have words. You had something that preceded words. Something primal. Something that belonged to the man from mile 30. The one who is supposed to be dead, and apparently is not. Apparently, he has been standing at the back of all of it, this whole time, watching, waiting for something worth coming forward for. You look at the window for a long time. The rain washes down the glass, blurring the neon lights of the city. Then, you set the coffee mug down. You reach for the light switch, and you stop, your hand on the switch. The room still lit by the glow of the monitors. The kid still visible below, checking his phone now, one foot up on the wall behind him, settled into the weight. You don't turn off the light. You don't know why. That's the whole truth. You don't know why. And not knowing, you've felt, in 11 years, the coffee is cold. The machine is still running. But somewhere in the sequence, a variable has changed, and you are standing in the lit window,